start becoming emanations out of the thinking. And those emanations think and emanate, and those become lesser beings still. And these, so the different divine beings, there are lots of divine beings in the universe, and they, by thinking and being, they emanate inferior forms of being after themselves. And eventually, what happened is those inferior forms of being get less good and less like the most ultimate being. And one of them,
can you hear this?
Sophia,
I hope that you can.
means wisdom, the female name, but it also means wisdom. Sophia
Sophia.
decides she wants to
It's a wonderful name.
and she's supposed to do that with a male consort, because by this time these beings have male.
It's up there for the daughter candidates.
She's supposed to
How do you know someone's name before you meet them?
or procreate by doing so with her male consort. She decides she wants to be like the supreme god and be able to emanate on her own.
Fancy.
So she puts out a being on her own. In other words, she sort of gives birth without being a man. Well, of course, when you do that, you end up with a monster. So the being that came out of Sophia ended up being a clumsy, maybe evil god. Because all of these are divine beings. That god decided at some point he wanted to create things, and so he didn't really do it very well.
I was just checking that you're in my headphones.
He made little human beings like
you and I are going to have a relaxed hangout. Hi, my name is Elliot, and I'm putting that on pause. This is like a premature broadcast. Hi, my name is Elliot, and I'm premature. But you know what? Gravity's a thing, and I just can't stay away. I think that's in I don't know, geometric intrinsic expression of the good, not the only, but an expression like that's an expression, and there's an expression, and there's an expression. Is you have to go a little bit out of the way, because evil and death and decay go with the least resistance and like to the point of fall off, and the good magnetizes towards like, okay, being pulled in this direction. Wouldn't it be great if it pulls in towards great? You gotta go a little out of your way, otherwise you're doing what you think you have to, which means you're not really doing it. You're following along, which isn't always a bad thing. In fact, I want to follow along. I just want to follow along. The roads keep getting put in my way. I couldn't have imagined in my like fantasy, sci-fi, all forms of media imagination, the perception perspective of my true life as I'm living it a few years ago. The modes of perception, the just simple rhythms and rhymes of being, the temperance, the endurance, the hindsight, the refusal to foresight, and yet still just every day being subject to wonders you can't imagine. So where are they coming from? I've never been in a car accident before. I got in my first car accident on the day of the eclipse. Obviously, these fucking lunar eclipses. It's partly what I'm learning about them. And it's not like they're the accursed, like, eclipses. It's like, well, the eclipses are cursed. The curse was placed on them. We just gotta fucking play it all out, but also be like, no, it's slightly different, a little bit better. Because the lunar eclipse of 2018 is when I slipped my knee, which is like to this point in my life the biggest, most significant like physical injury I've kind of had. It happened to me again, blah blah blah, in the past, yabba yabba, but it knocked me out and put me to where I had to be and where I wasn't otherwise being. And definitely not at that time, but in retrospect, I can, having traveled to different states of mind in which simultaneous past life karma, it's all clumsy when you try and use words that don't insinuate psychically the obvious, like not meaning. It's like, yo, just get over what we're trying to do here is put words to the unwordable. And it was like another death pattern for sure. Because I can't speak for other soul, life, spirit, personality beings, choice expressions, but for whatever purpose, I have so many strong impressions of a way of dying or living without. Like the wounds of war, being paralyzed, living without a limb or part of the body. And I'm putting it the most mundanely. And these eclipses are convergent touch points for sure. And the solar and the lunar can be appreciated aspects of perspective, looking forward and looking back, always looking into the past, which is to say, from a standpoint, it's always looking back. Because there is no such thing truly as the future that is being made into something that it's not, right? The future gets turned into not the future anymore. And that real tomorrow is forever freedom. And yesterday's the story. And we've denied that we all want to not just this past, like want to be in a story. No, we are in our story, and our story is awesome. It's impossible to even think. With all the barriers to entry, like shame, insignificance, but also powerlessness, impotence, diffusion, and not to forget um, aggressive, competitive, uh, murderous, even dangerous, for sure. When closer to the truth and much more fun as we can experience all those things with a lot less fear. Fear is deserving of its best friend, thrill. And without thrill, fear is like bored, It's not that fear is demonic fear. It's just like you're creating fear through uneducation, because you have to like be educated and uneducated. Because you have to be like a basic human being, like the basic knowledge of like love and do well, and be that. I was making a left-hand turn, and it was a mutual conflict of commit and other kinds of other patterns. I can't say anything but blessed things about that whole experience. It was a young man driving like his work truck with another young man, and he was the first person on the scene. He hit my like we. It was organic. It was like as if we were walking towards each other on the street, and like and then this is the time that we literally bump into each other. It's like, oh, didn't mean for that to happen. You know what I mean? But it happened. Except because we're in cars and they are patterned to uh, be destructive in ways that are like topological and like minor and not necessary, but an entire cause for an economy around it. It's like, who the fuck cares if there's a scratch on this or a scratch on that, especially if it's your car and you move around on it and like it's going to touch things because it's like an extension of your body. And then the whole indestructibility, the whole like economy of destructibility around its make and how it's put together anyways. So he hit I hit his passenger side front bumper with the rear end of my like passenger side, like aft of the aft, I don't know, behind bottom, the right wheel well. I just like saying wheel well because like a should be something in that rear wheel well, rear wheel well, rear wheel well. And so my tail swerved, and then it was right across from the hospital, down the street from the fire station, and on the street that just goes straight into the hospital. And I was making a left towards my McDonald's coffee, towards a timeline that was carrying me on this path, which motivated by feelings / emotions that were less, I won't say, no less real or concentrated / diluted with purpose. Because even magic, it's like still a process of transformation, something becoming something. The passenger side tires on that road intersection, the pavement turned to cobblestone a little bit, and fucking curbs in my life. It was like it was like falling off my bike. I was still like, this is how I fall before. Like karma's a thing. Catching the lip, and then it rolled over. So I was really slowly. This is all happening pretty slowly, and even with like slow down time, which was all happening quite intuitive experience, and it's actually a wow design. Like I was hanging out with my neighbors for the last couple of weeks. There, the lawn chair called the zero gravity chair, and it's like you broke back, and it's like it's the bomb, man. It feels like you're floating. I hang upside down. Shamanic, like spirit world building. Chain. It's like, this is the time I died. And the person, the gentleman around my age of the van who's in the community the scene, like, want to make sure I was okay, good man. It being like the seeds maybe sprouting, really, because the sprout is when we get together, not that we just met. It's like, no, your whole world took this long to bring you guys together, and you guys committed, maybe sprouting, really, to bring you guys together, and you guys committed to my family, which was, it shook me by the time I got to the tow office and started answering questions. My brain was like confused and foggy in a way that's like, oh, it's not like anything I'm used to. There's their children, being around kids, and also like demon wrath bellowing, and also like demon wrath bellowing, true expressions to the community as far away as possible, which sometimes is fucking ground zero to everyone. Saying things that need to be said, standing up for ourselves and each other, standing up for ourselves and each other. So active socio-political awareness creation conversation, your orientations, your trauma associations, your remedies, your genetic repose. My family's place. And it's an example of everything that's gorgeous and right in the world, right next to them. And falling asleep or going into that meditative, but I'm definitely out of it. But I wanted this because the best, most demands subjective proof. You know what I mean? Just believing that things could have been better. Like you could have done a better job. And my life in part has been a lesson of being like, you don't have to always feel that. Like it's possible to you to feel like you maintain in. That's like, I could have chose to not do that morning, but it wouldn't have been a single choice. It's how they all link and turn into each other, into like the most present reflection of one's true here life. Enough as it could be. So other things that are, be it like maybe discordant or out of tune, the more possible than the good things that we can imagine as being possible and are only limited by our thoughts and actions, not inactions, because we're never not doing as much as we're doing something else. Or we're, doing that. It's kind of doing not that, which is also a thing. Another like ring around the rosy. Posy, ashes, ashes, fall. And it's all astral phenomenon. Except my experience of the connected with experience in one way or another's, I don't think it'd be that unique of one's like manifestation potential as like a joint in a space-time continuum on the physical planes and all their subtleties. If you think of something, then that's something orbiting something, and then it's great. The representation of this movement. And time is space, because everything we think is like still experiencing relative still is really like combining. It's very streaming. There. And if that's the case, then the laws of physics must be few, multivalent, and open-ended while managing to be all-encompassing. Matter passes into death. Matter passes away. Dreams and ideas compel forever. Because they need not change. Being at a time. An idea of something in space-time can have a form that is connected to another, something that does intuitive process of something moving through space and time. Maybe our souls or our ideas of ourselves in that way. Life and death is the experience of cosmic spiritual battery rotation. And who knows? That's how you stay open-ended, though infinite. What I mean when I say I think that's insightful. The illusion of a magnet with a north and a south pole is that there's a top and a bottom, when really the north or south pole at this point is still arbitrary, is more like central. So place it somewhere, not that energy, uh, that uh, like geomagnetic, so that it becomes you want. The scent is north, and it's the trajectory of its like self. It's like the it's like the ions are neutral. It's noble. Did I just make that joke? That's amazing. So blah blah blah. That's enough. And now, when you store magnets, you want to store them. Kind of just with you. When you store magnets, you want to store them that we like imagined. You want to like if you got north, south, north, south, north, south. Place them in that like a line where it's place them in that like a line where it's even coming close, right? Like that's not aligned. So the sun is a powerful source of magical deluge or the super postmodern now contemporary just if it's like magnetic axis, for instance, alignment, but also because if you alternate current, right, there's potential to it. There's not more than one right way. There's only one right way to do a right alignment. Occasions included in like the inside to the or the outside. What do you know? What do you call it? Looking into it? I feel like the moon energy is like pastful and the sun energy is future, despite even if they're in their like wrong, I would say, as far as like being empowered and depending on their environments, like say the earth was flipped um, as a result of a catastrophe, and that flip is an ultimate like savior of a nature, saving itself and the rest of the environment, blah blah blah. It still means that or can have double hard to do what you want to do. Can't take away what you want to do from like. So like I may be a South Pole that's trying to act like a North Pole, but I'm still a pole. So that's why they say that the poles are going to flip. And that's just like, I would say, explicitly incomplete explanation of like uh, being masqueraded by descriptions. I'm going to describe things. You're going to think I'm explaining them. The pole is moving. It's like that's the North Pole, but it's South Pole according to our common understanding. It's like that's South, and so it's going to be flipped. So the North Pole is the North Pole, and the South Pole is the South Pole. But the North Pole never stopped being the North Pole. Just part of it got flipped. And these eclipses are like cosmic consciousness alignment points that may or may not be important depending on how you are already with the grand, like scheme of the grand scheme of things. The golden age era being literally a civilization aligned with the best, most awesomest uh, stream of light, but still with nothing before it, because you still don't want to. You're not trying like you can't repeat the past. The past can shape you. Especially when it's everywhere. Oh yeah. I have a very great, awesome, like I wouldn't consider myself an activist, but I've had activating conversations with people when it comes to the demics and the irises of the world. And people are woke, yo. Expressions of it. That's also something this kind of exchange taught me is, look, I've slept probably like straight. I say probably because I have no idea the actual length of time, but there was some straight sleeping, yo. I care about you. There are people that I care about that our connections are electronic. And there's just that you'd and like the karmic ancestral blasted. Hence the wrathful vengeance of Be a Better World anthems. And I'll tell you that felt good too. Like I've said, I would have said in front of kids. Curse words aren't the worst thing that kids can hear. Ooh, and you'll learn. You'll figure it out of my life. Because kids cursing appropriately is not even like the best thing. Just like adults cursing appropriately, whatever. It's like appropriateness can't be taught. It's a lie. Person. I don't want to go so far as say it's like those. But I would say it like preceded the accident. Like the accident was in part. And it just could smell. It's not really a part of the dream. There's too much bullshit still. So, as if I needed help being confused. Or also why I haven't been on. Because it's not like a thing that's hard to get across the wires, even across the substrate. Not gonna feel confusing. Like even more for Elliot. Was like hanging by the river, pond, ducklings, like, oh, look into me. So it's not far. Reasonably believe. It's like, yeah, no, from base point. Is not the reward. It's the game. Then you keep it. Just being. Bordership. Down and all the way up. Awesome.